Thank you so much. Just like to say a very good evening to everybody who is out here watching this um, webinar, which is actually the first of its kind because we're discussing something that is the first of its kind in the entire world, being land. And so I am Siabongam Kocho, and next to me, I'm seated next to a man whose accomplishments and reputation precede him, a serial entrepreneur and knowledge bank for innovation and entrepreneurship. I'm talking about the great Ntutugo Shezi. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great. Yeah, thank you so much for that drum beat introduction there.
No, these things are very relevant because we need to know who we're speaking to, They mustn't think a random person is just speaking to them because, quite frankly, what you have done with Livestock Wealth, which is the reason why so many people are watching this, is absolutely revolutionary. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're actually here to speak about something that touches our hearts as South Africans, something that is very instrumental to what the country is today in terms of history, in terms of the decision making that is happening and is still to be made in this country, and that is land. Not only land, but farmland. And as such, I'll just like to ask a few questions. I'm sure the listeners want to know as well. A few questions. Why land? Why should we focus and pour our efforts into investing in land? Why land, not any other agricultural assets?
Sure. Thank you, Sia, for that. So I think you may all remember now who Livestock Wealth is. Livestock Wealth, born in 2015, is really with this mission of ending inequality. The world is, and especially South Africa, is the world's most unequal place on earth. And if nothing is done about how our country is, we may not have a country in 50 years' time. So in fact, the only reason we exist is to create a world where there is no inequality, and we believe that we can create a world with equality through allowing anyone to be a farmer, through allowing people to use whatever method of growing wealth that they used to know for centuries past. So using that method, which is agriculture for livestock, or farmland, or any other crops that people would grow. So Livestock Wealth really was born around that, to say, how do we create a world where everyone has a fair chance of creating their own wealth in the way they best use their know to understand. And why farmland? Really, it's a metamorphosis. Just like how a moth becomes a butterfly. For Livestock Wealth. And then that's when we started. We said, okay, here's a farm. You can own a cow in a farm as a way of you being part of the farm. So over the years, we've then said, okay, no. Now why don't you own the entire farm? And really, for us, that speaks deeply into really fulfilling the need that we know that most South Africans have, the need of owning land. You may know from our country's painful history, things like the 1913 Land Act, for example, where 87% of the country woke up one day landless, just because some legislation had been passed, which really stripped almost everyone of the right to own land, of the right to buy and own farmland, of the right to be able to profit from land. And those things only changed in our country around about 1990, late 80s. Only during that time could 85% of the country be able to buy land or property. The entire, from 1913 up to that 70 years, people couldn't, even if they had the money, they couldn't buy land. So that really created some of the most inequality that we're seeing now in our country. But Livestock Wealth really, we saw this and said, okay, there's a need for this. Let's then fulfill this need. We know government is trying all they can to buy farms and distribute it to farmers, but there's only about 100,000 farms in the country and 62 million people. So how can 100,000 farms be distributed among 62 million people and everyone is happy? That's a question that I don't think government has the answer, but we think that in what we're doing at Livestock Wealth through farmland ownership as we're doing it now, is a small step in that right direction of revolutionizing how everyone and anyone can have access to owning farmland.
Wow. You know what touches me about what you said, literally, I think it would touch most South Africans on the other end of the screen, is with the stroke of a pen, many people lost their livelihoods. Not only the livelihood, but just the right to say, hey, I own this piece of land and I can do something progressive with it, right? And I think what is happening here, what we're seeing is first of its kind in the entire world, by the way. If you also think about the South African legislature, right? One person, one farm, this is absolutely revolutionary in the sense that you have more than one person on one farm, not only just a farm, but a progressive farm, a farm that is actually generating an investment, not only for the investor, but the entire country,
Sure. Yeah, I think there, like you mentioned the stroke of a pen. When we started Livestock Wealth in 2015, our job was to then create a new kind of pen, really, where everyone is able to sign their name onto land ownership. There was nothing to build from. We had to just build and think what can work, what cannot work. We tried a lot of things. We've tried a lot of things and failed at quite a few other things as well. But I think really the driving force and the fuel behind what we're doing is we're really creating access for everyone. And as we create access for everyone, there's various parties that benefit. There's food security, we're producing food. There's farmers who benefit as well. There's more farmers really having access to funding from the crowd, as we're doing to grow crop. And also, most importantly, there's that sense of connection, where people can connect to agriculture, and that agriculture, just like gardening, is one of those most therapeutic things. Like if you walk into a farm, no matter how stressed you are, by just looking at the vineyards in Stellenbosch or the cattle in Underberg, by just walking into a farm, the stress just goes away, just by you stepping onto the farm gate, So we, over and above owning agricultural assets and land for profit, there's also that therapeutic thing that you can't put a value to it, which really for us is important.
So now, when you're talking about when you were building this, right? You did say that at the beginning, obviously, there's no support. I mean, every startup, from the beginning has to source some kind of support, be it financing, be it actually affiliates, maybe that can actually help the company go up. But how much support do you have now as Livestock Wealth? That's what I'm most interested in actually knowing right now out of this.
So when we started, really, there was hardly any support, So to start the business, I took a loan from one other business, Scratch Mobile, which does panel beating at the airport, to pay for the initial set of cows that we started off with in 2015, and very much self-funded, from a get-go. But over time, we've had lots of supporters from the Innovation Hub, Rand Merchant Investments. Recently, we just closed a funding round with Alpha, not Alpha Code, but with the MIC, which is the Manokas Investment Company. And then, but from a government point of view, just that, with innovation, you're always ahead of what government is doing. So government has got really great policies on agriculture. There's some lack here and there on implementation, but there's been a time where the Minister of Agriculture, Minister Diza, has invited me to Parliament, and really praised the work we're doing with Livestock Wealth. And funny enough, shortly thereafter, like almost 3 days after, there was 2020 February, when I was invited to her budget speech in Parliament, just before COVID. Shortly thereafter, I saw an order appearing on our platform, and I couldn't believe the name. Cyril Ramaphosa. I was like, geez, the president himself, like, the president himself is, is buying cattle in Livestock Wealth. And I think for us, that vote of confidence, to say government in its highest form is supporting innovation, is supporting agriculture, it's supporting the work we're doing. Even when we launched the Farmland in August, one of our first orders came from the president himself. So for us, it was like a great sort of vote of confidence and encouragement that government has this policies for agriculture. So what we're doing may not be aligned to a specific policy yet, but at some point, I think as we're doing the work we're doing, government, we're hoping, will see some of this and copy where appropriate, and then and implement what's based on the experiences and the experiences that we've had over the years.
Wow, beautiful. And we appreciate you actually for supporting such an amazing initiative. This is not like we were saying. This is not a local transformation or just a breakthrough. You understand? This is a global breakthrough, right? And this is actually, we're not going to say correct a problem in history which has been land, which blood has been shed over. We're not going to say that there's 100% a solution. But this is showing that any South African, regardless of any race, any religion, can come together in terms of being a private citizen and actually transform this country progressively, making a profit. And sir, now that you speak about the land, I just want to understand, why citrus? I heard this is a citrus farm, but why did you go and buy a citrus farm? Why didn't you go buy a potato farm or maybe a tomato farm, in Eastern Cape,
Sure. So we have roughly 8 years experience in livestock, and over the last couple of years, you guys will know we've also invested in macadamia as well since 2019 through one of our partner farmers. In fact, who is a central part of our management for the citrus farm now. But we always believe in diversification. So, for example, the rule of investing, which we always follow, is that don't have all the eggs in one basket. So with livestock on the one side, this year livestock will be doing well, but next year maybe it could be flat. And then the macadamia, it's also had its very good heydays, but now the prices have dropped slightly due to COVID and China being closed. And then by just going to another vertical, which is citrus, it allowed us to participate in an export crop, because in South Africa, last year South Africa exported almost 13 billion rands of citrus. Now that's a lot of money, lots of zeros there. Yeah. So, and some to America, some to Europe, as far afield as China, Middle East. Those are most of the export markets that the best of our citrus go to. So, for example, like if you look here, there's a lemon here, and the beauty with citrus and especially where the farm is and why we actually went there is that it's in Limpopo. Limpopo is very dry, not much rain, not as heavy rain as there is in KZN, which is great because we can then control the amount of water that goes into the plant. Wow. So, because if there's too much rain at the wrong time, you can get an adverse effect as well. So now the beauty, for example, with where we are in Limpopo, which is in the Chipese region there, is that because of the heat that's there, the crops grow much faster. The lemons arrive at the market almost a month or 2 months before other citrus producing regions come to market. So all the other areas, Marble Hall and other Eastern Cape areas, by the time they ship their produce, our citrus, our lemons have already gone already. So then that means that we're able to actually get almost double the price that other people in our region will get. So that's the one beauty of that. So essentially, the one rule I always use with everything that I invest in, whether it's stocks or whether it's any other business, is that there needs to be a growing market and we all know that every household has got orange juice or some other 100% juice in the fridge, almost as a standard now. So that's a growing market. As the middle class is growing, that's growing as well. The export markets are also growing as well, which is great. And then most importantly as well, with the crop being a globally exported crop, so you're not only constrained to the South African market. There's and also with the rand variation and depreciation as well. So if a lemon is lemons are $2 a kilo, they're going to be $2 a kilo whether the rand is 17 rand or whether it's 20 rand. So that's the one of the stability that is also brought about by choosing citrus. So we strongly believe there is a huge growth area there. That's why we went all in on a farm with a lot of land, lots of growth potential, including a pack house as well. So that's really the playbook we follow.
Wow, it's brilliant, sir. So what I'm hearing here is that this is a very deliberate choice. This was very informed. This was actually well thought out of.
You have to, because choosing a farm, like I've got young kids, it's like choosing a school for your kids. You're gonna be there for a long time, and so you're gonna be there for a long time. If it's 12 years in school, with farming as well, it's a long-term investment. You need to put in heart and soul into it. So we had to make sure that we're choosing a farm where we say, okay, there is value here, and that the like for example, like this farm used to be owned by a company called South African Fruit Exporters. So they went into business rescue due to some challenges that they were facing as a business, and then the process of selling off their farm started. So there was a bit of neglect on the farm, for I think the last 2 years while they were in business rescue. The farms were not really looked after. But when negotiating our purchase price, we built all that in, and then we said, okay, right. If you, as with everything in life, if you find something that's perfect already, you're probably going to overpay for it. True. So then we were able to negotiate and get a decent price. We paid about 15 million rand for the farm. Wow. And then we put up aside another 5 million rand for improvements to improve the farm. So that's why then with this, what we're doing, we're raising 20 million rand, which is sufficient to be able to pay for the farm in its entirety, and also to make sure that any old trees are replaced, replanted, that water, electricity, staff, pruning, fertilizers, all the spraying programs for fungicides, insecticides are done at the right time. So that's really what we followed there.
Okay, wow. Brilliant stuff. Okay. Okay. Wow. I'm getting excited. I have to sit down my chair properly, I think now you're just rushing a lot, and you're saying 15 million, 20 million, I want to start people slowly, just to not get the numbers, but just get the essence of what this is, because I'm pretty sure that this wasn't a decision that was motivated by money alone. This decision was motivated by just the quality Livestock Wealth possesses for a vision of the future, South African future rather. So what I want to talk about is okay, I heard citrus, why citrus, but why this farm in Musina? Are there no other farms in other provinces that you could have bought maybe?
Sure, no, there were other farms in other provinces. One of the things we found was one, they were too pricey. Farms of a similar size that we have now.
Please mention the size. I don't think people know what the size is.
So the farm is 577 hectares. So that's big. 577 hectares. It's for those who live in Joburg. That would be a quarter of Alexandra Township. So so it's quite a big. So in other words, we and you at home as well can own land the size of a quarter of Alexandra Township. That's really how big it is. But what it presents more than anything is growth opportunities into the future. In that, compared to other lands we were seeing, you'd find a 90-hectare farm selling for 20 million rand, and already it's maybe fully grown. There's no other growth potential. So part of what we looked at is what is saying, okay, what other expansion can be done on the farm? Is there land for it? Like, for example, we knew that, okay, with this farm, with 90 hectares being planted with citrus already, there's another 470 odd hectares that are just lying around. So there we could put easily a solar farm where we're just putting solar panels as an independent power producer and supplying electricity to Eskom.
Wow, so basically you're saying is not one solution, two solutions in the country, in a country that suffers from grid problems, energy problems. You're telling me that you're willing to dedicate some of the money, literally, to actually helping South Africa get more energy into the grids, because from what we know in Limpopo, they're very far off. They're on the edge of South Africa, so power production can be a problem in that area.
Correct. So most of the power stations in South Africa are where the coal mines are. So Mpumalanga, lower parts of Mpumalanga, mostly Mpumalanga, northwest, some the edges, like Tabazimbi areas. All those are the areas where you're getting a lot of coal. So now, towards the edge of the grid, as more development happens there, they need more. There's need more power there. So it's easier if the power comes already from that side.
Sure.
Then it stabilizes the grid in a great way. So that's part of the business plan we have for this farm, to say there are opportunities into the future that just change the equation completely. Where like a small, say 20 million rand investment suddenly becomes now a 500 million rand powerhouse, which changes the ball game completely.
I mean, also, when I read about this, just very briefly, like any other investor would, before actually investing some of my hard-earned money, is 577 hectares, not kilometers, hectares of land going at 20 million rand. Actually, 15 at discounts, with the 4 million rand obviously for improvements, with a capacity to expand, with a competitive advantage, and seasoned veterans in the agricultural game. So I just want to touch on that expansion there. Well, I want us to tap into the expansion there. Sure. You said solar farm. I heard you say pack house. You have not explained exactly what this pack house does, what a pack house is, and what the potential for that is. Because as an investor, I would think it's just a place we pack, we send things out,
Sure.
So now, please explain in the context of the farm, why is the pack house important?
Sure. The pack house is important because it's essentially the connection between the farmer and the market. That's whatever you produce. For example, this is straight from a tree here. As you can see as well here, these are all lemons that are pretty ripe, but they're all different sizes. So now the pack house works in that. I'm from Ndwedwe, KZN. So when there's avocados in the tree, I just go and pick one and start eating. But with commercial grade stuff, you harvest and then you sort. You sort and then you also store and you prepare for market by making sure that the fruit is preserved such that it doesn't along its transportation, say from here to Europe, which is a 6-week journey, it doesn't then go decolor or start rotting on the way. Then when it arrives that side, then you're getting less.
Wow. So basically advanced storage facilities. How big is this pack house? Because I mean the farm is massive. 92 hectares worth of citrus. How big is this pack house?
So the pack house is on 1 hectare of land. The area under roof is about almost 800 square meters, which is massive, which is really massive. There, and it's currently got a huge pack line that's there. Pack line is a little bit old, but can still work. With the right jockeys, which we believe we have, the packhouse can get running again. And what's beautiful as well, that's part of what we're planning as well into the future, is saying there are lots of communities in the Venda area. That whole area is in Venda. So the beauty of what can be done is that as farmers grow their crops in their various locations, they sometimes don't have a market to send crop to. So they could send crop to us as a pack house, and we could pack for them. We could sort for them the quality fruits and
secure some more water rights.
Absolutely. I think what to understand the concept of water rights. I grew up in the rural area in Dwedwe. There was never such thing called water rights. Like if you want water from a river, you carry your bucket. You get the water. And everything is good. Yes. But since there's a dam there called the Nzelele Dam, and there's many farmers who are feeding from that dam. Wow. So obviously, then if expansion is just uncontrolled in terms of how many trees or how many hectares one can plant, then the dam will run out of water, and then if the dam runs out of water, that means that the trees on a daily basis need to get irrigated. You can't rely on rain. You have to create rain through technology, just by running irrigation pipes onto each and every tree. And have a huge, like the farmer's got a huge pump house. On a monthly basis, pay Eskom a whole lot of money for all these transformers that are there, which are used to really pump water onto each of those trees. And that's really the difference with regards to commercial farming. So if most of us, even myself, we had orchards at home, but there was never an irrigation pipe going to them. You rely on the rain. If the rain doesn't come, then your fruits is less. But with commercial farming, you create rain by controlling your water that goes into each plant. You fertilize. So in a nutshell, on our farm, we have 100 hectares of water rights. So if we reduce the number of, like let's say we remove some orchards, maybe the old ones, there's room to use that water, say for maybe putting 10 hectares of tomatoes, for example. I'm just saying, for example. But the most important thing, though, I think because of how broad-based the Livestock Wealth and this scheme we have is that we can apply to the water affairs and say, hey, water affairs, we want to expand the farm to benefit the community that's around, to create more jobs in the community around. And we also have a broader pool of people who are benefiting from the ownership of this farmland. And then I think if we knock on those doors, I think our government will listen and be able to grant us some expansionary concessions in terms of water rights.
No, definitely. And the other thing I really like about this actual farmland investment is that the fact that you're actually sensitized to the fact that there's water rights and we have to look after our environment. So now, when I think about the acquisition of the farm itself, from SAFE, the South African food exporters, who are close to losing their business. Livestock Wealth is literally protecting the environment in the sense that no trees die, but they're also making sure that somebody else's dream on the other side actually lives, and this is amazing. So now I want to talk about there on the farm, right? So you're talking about an extra 5 million, right? 15 million, you're asking people for 20 million. Even me, if I had $1 million, I wouldn't give it to you in change, just regular. So my question is exactly what needs to be done on the farm, because from what I heard, it is operational, but what more do you need on the farm to have it run if it's already running?
Sure. I think with commercial agriculture, which is what, for the most part, most South Africans, we're not exposed to how our food is grown. We all enjoy the 100% juice at the supermarket, but in terms of how it arrives there, and how that fruit comes to fruition. Excuse the pun. It's a mystery to most people. So, for example, the difference between a tree that's growing in the village and a tree that's growing in a commercial farm is that the tree that's in a commercial farm is well looked after. It's almost like a private school kid.
Private school kid.
Both schools have got teachers, but this other school has got extra, Yeah, so with the commercial farming, there's a heavy investment in looking after the soil. So that goes to making sure that all the nutrients that are there, like we do soil testing on the soil to see what's lacking, what's needed, and there's a fertilization program. Then that's also fertilizers need to be applied at the right time, just after harvest, before flowering, because if you don't do that, then the trees don't have enough food in them, then they don't flower. If they don't flower, then there's going to be no fruit. So you could plant 2 trees on the same day, one in just a communal farm at home, a lalin, another one in a commercial farm. Just the due care, the amount of water each tree gets, the amount of nutrients it's getting, it's a world of difference. In that then a tree is able to produce 1,000 rands of fruits, whereas the other tree is just producing 5, 10, 15 that you enjoy when you get home in winter, and that's it. But at a commercial scale, that increase in production is really brought about by the care that's brought in. So when we took over the farm in October, just last month, we knew there's a lot of work to be done. We had to make sure that the pruning is done, which hadn't been done. We had to make sure that the fertilization is quickly done. Yet we know that that means that next year there won't be much in terms of crop coming out because of the neglect of the past 2 years. But year 3, year 4, year 5, then cooking with gas.
Wow.
So that's really the difference there.
So basically, wealth takes time. We're staying true
Yep.
to the livestock wealth motto.
Well, I always say, wealth takes time. Farming is never for those who want to get rich quick. It's never, you can never win. Farming is just like true wealth creation. You put in the work today, and then that work you put in today, you reap benefits in 3 years, 5 years, sometime. So that really ties very closely with our belief as livestock and how we want to make sure that the world that we live in is not an instant world, but people where they know that if I plant a tree today, it's going to take 3 years to grow. Year 3, I'm going to get the first fruits. I must look after this tree so that I get more for the next 20 years.
Talking about first fruits, first fruits. Talking about the first fruits literally is, it's all good and well. We're talking about this farm. It sounds great. Sounds very dreamy and such, My question is, as an investor, if I plow in 200,000, because obviously I'm not broke, but we all start somewhere, But if I'm investing 200,000 rand of my money, am I able to see exactly where the 200,000 rand is landing?
100%. So one of the things that we're doing for our investors or owners of the farm is really open access to the farm. One, from quarterly reports that you'll receive. This is how the farm is doing, and also the Farmers' Days we're going to be hosting. Actually, we're planning one for December the 16th at the farm, where we invite everyone to come see the farm for themselves. Enjoy the farm, have a meal, have a braai there. See your investment. that's the beauty as well with the work that we do, and that we investing in something that you can actually drive and go see. If it's a cow you own, it's a cow you can drive to the farm and actually see for yourself. Which you can't do, with some money in the bank. They won't allow you on the other side of the 10 stalls.
Imagine me.
The security is there. They can remove you. But with Livestock Wealth, we make sure that you're investing in what you can see. So your 200,000 rand will be able to buy you. So what we've done is we've taken the farm, we've divided the money, the funds raising the 20 million rand into 5,000 rand portions. So for your 200,000 rand will be able to buy you 40 portions of the farm.
Yes.
And then that actually means 40 shares in the farm.
Okay.
So
Let's not rush. Let's take them step by step. You understand? Right? Because I think you're touching into how I actually become a part of the actual farm. You understand?
Yeah.
So now when we're touching in terms of becoming a part of this actual farm, right? How many portions are available, and actually how did you come up with the concept to actually divide these pieces of land to say, okay, this portion is going to be roughly X amount, and it's going to go to who, and how do we keep track of that? Like, how did you get to that stage?
Sure. So we look at how do we make owning farmland accessible to everyone. I read a very sad statistic the other day that in South Africa, for you to be able to own a home, like a basic home, and buy a home, you need at least 300,000 rand to be able to buy a home. And now for you to qualify to buy that home, you need to be earning at least 20 to 25,000 rand a month. Now there is not many people who earn 25,000 rand and above in the country. Like you find that if you were to split the distribution of incomes, you'll find that probably 80% of people in the country earn less than 20,000 rand a month. Sure. So then we then looked and said, okay, if we're gonna make this ownership of farmland accessible to everyone, but also aspirational, let's make it just 5,000 rand a month, meaning that even someone who earns 10,000 rand a month can save up over 10 months for it, and then save 500 bucks over 10 months, and then they're able to participate. Maybe not this farm, this one, because I think this one we have about 4,000 portions, or we've sold almost 30% of it already now sold. So when we're aiming that by end of December we would have sold out the farm completely. That's our aim. So because we're having people who are buying sometimes 10 portions, 50 portions, and as long as they are available, we can't really stop.
I get you. And
so the goal really is access. How do we create access? How do we make access to farming available to anyone? That's really what drives us.
Because now, how would this be inclusive if we're pricing it at 100,000 rand a portion in the world's most unequal country on the planet? So basically, what you're doing is you're staying true to the South African roots of inclusivity, carrying on the freedom that is afforded to all of us and the love we have for each other in South Africa.
Correct. That doesn't mean that you must only start with just 5,000 rand. That doesn't mean that. I think the as with everything else, I think the more you invest, let's say you say, okay, here's 100,000 rand, I'm gonna pump it into farmland, or maybe here's 10,000 rand every month I'm gonna be investing in farmland. Could be this farm, could be the next one, could be a different type of farm. That base you create over time starts bearing fruit. As the years pass and the farms make a profit, farming is not rosy. There's not always like a sky high returns.
Yes.
There are years where there's a loss.
There's a loss, yes.
And we've budgeted for all of that.
Yes.
Because we understand business and farming. And then there are good years where then the losses are covered and profits are made, and whatever other losses from behind are also caught up. So that's really the essence of what we do.
Okay, brilliant stuff. So now, what I want to know as an investor now, because this is literally what I heard, right? 577 hectares of land, 92 hectares are actually utilized, and some of the farmers neglected, obviously, but this is actually a farm that produces fruit that goes to market. It has a pack house, which just needs a slight renovation from what I'm hearing, and then we're good to go. We're packing not only our own produce as investors, but the produce of neighboring farmers who were never afforded that opportunity before. On top of that, there's room for expansion. I mean, solar farming, which is absolutely massive, especially in South Africa right now, meaning the income generation just possibility for this farm is massive.
Correct.
Along with the pack house. I want to know, right? If I give you 200,000 rand right now, what is in it for me? What is my return on investment? How does this thing actually work from a practical point of view?
That's a great question. So the beauty with farmland is that it appreciates in value. So, like for example, the purchase price for our farm was 15 million rand, but in essence, its true value is around 25 million rand to be exact. So we're able to get a 25 million rand asset for 15, just by making sure that we know the work that needs to go into this farm and negotiating properly. That's the value that we add as Livestock Wealth. But then in 20 years' time, this very same farm will be worth 50 million rand. Just because one, it's an international statistic that farmland doubles in value literally every 15 to 20 years. So 100%. So that's the one beauty of it. I always point people to this thing that it's one of the smartest people in the world, the epitome of genius, Bill Gates,
Yes.
who made all our Microsoft Word, Excel products. He's the biggest landowner in the US. If you're in the US and you're eating McDonald's or whatever, chances are that those potatoes were planted at Bill Gates' farm. He owns farmland that's roughly half the size of Gauteng province. So you can imagine how big Gauteng is, and put a ruler in between. That's Bill Gates' farm, the one half. That's the amount of farmland he owns.
So you telling me CEO, the world's richest man on the planet, owns the most amount of land in the United States?
Because you can't grow farmland, you can't make more. It's not like car tires or baked beans or any other thing where you can just mass produce it and then sell it for $9.99. Land is only one land. So once I own it, someone must buy it from me for them to have it, or they must fight and kill me to have it, which again won't be allowed. So that's the one thing about farmland, and it increases in value. So now if you invest 200,000 rand and you're buying those 40 portions of farmland, their value today is 5,000 rand each, but in 20 years' time there could be 15,000 rand each. So then your money has grown in value just by you letting it be.
Wow, brilliant. And then
that's just one part, and then the other part then is then the operations of the farm. So as we apply efficiencies in how the farm operates, using all our skills and strategy consulting and all the other skills that we have in agriculture, we're able to then bring in efficiencies onto the farm to make sure that it turns a profit. So in our projections, that's year one there isn't going to be, it's going to be a small loss, about R500,000 loss, a smaller loss on year 2, but from year 3, then the farm starts making a profit. Then year 4 and year 5, then even much better profits as younger trees that have replaced the old ones starts producing again, and we're able to produce more tons per tree. So that's really the plan. But then the target return that we're targeting to get is that if you own this farmland over a 5-year period, that we're targeting a return of at least 9% per year, which is about inflation plus 4%. That's really our target return. So that if you look at your return over the 5-year period, you're going to be getting your funds growing above inflation. So your money is protected from just the things going up in the supermarket and everywhere else, and really growing. So that's really how we projection. So nothing is guaranteed, as in like no one knows what tomorrow would hold. No one knows what the tree will produce tomorrow. But with the expertise we have and the skills that we've brought on board, we are confident that what we are estimating is at least 90% accurate.
Wow, brilliant stuff. So now I'm trying to wrap my mind around what you just said as a potential investor, right? Is just walk me through baby steps annually. How much can I look at getting? You did mention a loss, which is something I think I'll be very savvy to actually conscientize in my head. You understand? Is you telling me I can invest 5,000 rand in a portion of land and have the farm generate a loss for 4 years and only a profit in the 5th year?
No, we estimating there's 2 parts there. There's 2 parts. We're estimating that for this specific farm, year 1 and year 2, there will be loss making.
Sure.
There won't be a profit. So year 1 and year 2, there will be 0 return. But year 3, there could be a 9%. Year 4, a 14%. Sure. Year 5, 16, 17% return. So then when you look at those over a 5-year period, then it comes out to an average of about 9%. That's just on the profitability of the farm. But then the value of the farmland as well is also something else that is also there. That's the farm we bought for 15. If we're valuing it next year, it could be 30, and then or 2 years after that means that your value of your portion is doubled in value just by the growth in the value of the farmland. So if someone were to buy the farm, buy it for 30 or 35 in 5 years' time, you're getting double what you paid for plus the profits over the years. So it's a 2-piece income stream that we've worked on.
Okay, so now walk me through how I hear you mentioning 5 years, projections for 5 years. Is it possible for me to maybe hold on to the land for longer? Like what does the ownership structure look like?
100%. So the when you're buying a portion of farmland, you're actually buying a share in the company that owns the farm and also operates the farm.
So I'm a shareholder in essence.
100%. And then Livestock Wealth then operates the farm, where the directors who are operating the farm, but you are the shareholders in the farm. So with your one portion, it's equal to 1 share of the company. So when the farm makes a profit, then if the profit is 1 million rand divided by a number of shares, that becomes the profit per portion.
Per portion.
That's how we've structured it there.
Wow, brilliant stuff. So basically, I can own this piece of land for my entire life and hand it on to my children.
100%. I think that's exactly what we're doing, and we've seen a lot of that with Livestock Wealth now. Being around for 8 years, COVID and through COVID and everywhere else, we've seen a lot of our investors pass on, and then then we get an email, saying, "Hey, so and so has passed on. I'm the executive of estate. Here's the documentation, etc." And then that wealth then passes on, to the next generation, which is what we want.
Sure.
The same with farmland as well, and that if you're owning land, we're gonna hold the land until a good reason comes for us to sell. Let's say, for example, I don't know, a mining company discovered that there's diamonds underneath or something like that.
We have to fight De Beers. We can't. We can't.
And then we say, De Beers or whoever it is, 100 million, you get the land, and then our small investment now is times 20, so that's how that's once we get an offer we can't refuse, then we let go of the land.
So you're telling me, right, if I'm being correct, if I'm hearing you properly, like the rest of South Africa and the entire world is hearing you correctly right now, you're saying if I plow 500,000 rand or even R1 million, right, actually buying portions in this farm, right, I could be potentially getting, right, targeted obviously, but because we're dealing with Livestock Wealth experts in the agricultural game in terms of generating and maintaining assets already, such as free range macadamia nut trees and so forth, you're telling me I'm going to get a CPI pegged return rate, meaning whatever the inflation rate is plus 4% potentially, right? Not only that, at the end of my holding period, should I decide to sell it, I can actually sell it at a premium. Is this exactly what you're saying? So potentially, if I'm running the numbers, if I invest 500,000, you're telling me that 10% of that is 50,000, and I can get annually, but obviously not the first 2 years. Correct. So year 3, 4, 5, I get 50,000 at the end of the year. On top of that, if I decide to sell at the end of year 5, my portion is now not worth 50,000; it's worth 100, if not, exactly. So you're telling me I'm getting a profit on that sale.
100%. So you correctly right. You said it right. You said it correct. 100% correct.
Wow, brilliant stuff. To me, I would not buy 5,000 rand. I feel like I'm playing with my children's future if I say 5,000 rand.
Absolutely, yeah.
So now the $1 million question is, everything sounds so sweet. It sounds like we're being buttered up now to be toasted. You understand? My question is, what is in it for Livestock Wealth? Like, how does Livestock Wealth maintain this? Like, what are the numbers that we're looking at? Because every single director in a company, right, obviously earns a dividend or a return, right? But obviously the employees on the ground who have to earn something, just for creating something that's amazing. So please, can you just elaborate on what's in it for you?
So for Livestock Wealth, there's two parts. One, our company really thrives on managing assets. So whether it's managing cows or managing macadamia trees or managing farmland. So in this case, we earn a commission on the sale of the land. So in other words, as you buying the farmland, we get a commission, just like an estate agent would get if they were to sell your house on your behalf. So that's one income stream there for us. And every year we also charge a management fee, which is about 2% of the value of the land. So we incentivize to keep the value of the farm growing and apply the best of our skills to ensure that the value of your investment is growing. Then we know that as the value is growing, then we're earning a portion of that growth as well as our income. And most importantly as well, we're targeting a return of 9%, an ROI of 9% per annum. But then what we also do is that if we say hit 15% or 20% return on investment, then we take the 9% and we say, okay, we beat our target by 11%. So that additional growth we were able to attain, then we take half of that as Livestock Wealth, and then the other half goes to you, the investor. Just in a way, it's almost like an incentive for us to say we want to push for the sky. And then when we've pushed for the sky in terms of return, we also incentivize as well to keep doing better. That's really how our business is structured.
So basically, as an investor on the other side of the screen, I can't lose. I need to get going right now, because if somebody is incentivized, which is something that doesn't happen frequently in South Africa, is actually having the incentive to create something excellent and actually maintain it. 2% of the value of the farm. Right now, if it's worth 15 million, and we actually double the value of the land, which is 30 million, that basically means that you're getting 2% of 30 million, not 2% of 15 million.
Yeah.
And precisely that base.
We've grown the wealth, from 15 to 30. That's the most important part.
Yes.
And then also, some people will also ask, what are the risks? What risks are there? So farming has got risks,
Sure.
and we've planned for those. Like, for example, droughts are some risk. Pricing what price fruits fetch in various markets. We've looked at all those, and when we're doing our estimations and our projections, we've priced those in already. And then, a worst case scenario, people could ask, so what happens if Livestock Wealth goes out of business, which will never happen? But the beauty here is that what you are invested in is outside of Livestock Wealth. So the company that owns the farm and you are the shareholder of it, that exists independent of Livestock Wealth. So in any event, you have an asset that is divorced from Livestock Wealth, which is yours in your name, together with other investors as well. So that's the beauty of what we've done, especially with the farmland, in that there is a value, there is land that is underneath there, which will maintain its value. So in other words, the chances of your 5,000 rand or 200,000 rand investment becoming zero are nil, because you can't destroy the land. The land is there. The land is there. It's got value, and someone could be willing to buy it for the same price, maybe for slightly less if someone did a bad job. But if someone keeps doing the right things, which is what we're doing, then the value must go up.
Brilliant stuff. You say the value must go up. In my head,
Yeah.
it is going up. It's already going up in my head, because
It's like studying. The same principles as well. Like if you put in the hours daily and you are studying, and tomorrow as well 2 hours, then people mustn't be surprised when you get an A at the end. Because then the same thing with farming. If you're putting in the discipline on a daily basis in terms of what's being done on the farm, the rigor onto each of the various tasks, then the results show themselves in terms of profits.
Wow. So just to wrap up and what it is that we're doing here, just practically speaking, I don't know how I can now I have 5,000. Actually, I'd have more than that.
Yeah.
But how do I now then actually action my desire? How do I actually go and invest 5,000 rand? Where do I go? Where do I start to actually get my hands on securing my children's future and my children's future?
So very easy. To our website, livestockwwealth.com. Click on register. Create a profile, an account. We will need some of your documents, your proof of ID, a selfie, copy of ID, proof of residence as well. So have those ready as well. Then your account is then verified. And once your account is verified, only then can you buy. Once we've got your documents that prove who you are. So that's step one. And then once you logged in, really it's the process of buying farmland is the same as buying groceries at any of those retailers that sell things online. You just click, I want 5 of this or 1 of this, and it's done. So that's as simple as that. So those who have app or our Android app is up on the Android store on Google.
Okay.
I think by the 1st of December, our iOS app, a new version of our iOS app is also going to be live as well.
Okay.
But you can do everything today on the website. You don't have to wait for the app. The website, which works on your phone very well, will also work on your computer. Really, there's no need to delay. You can actually start right away. Yeah.
South Africa, but the world at large. You've heard it here from a knowledge bank in entrepreneurship, a knowledge bank in innovation. This is the first of its kind in the world from Mr. Ntutsuko Shezi. And I really feel honored and privileged, to actually be asking you these questions because, honestly speaking, in South Africa, but Africa at large, we do not celebrate beams of light in our communities. We don't celebrate beams of light publicly enough because there's so much doom and gloom around. And finally, we have something to give the entire world, not just South Africa, just to say, hey guys, this is some amazing stuff that we're doing.